And from the academy, I'm still looking and like referencing and learned
Oh,
that.
yeah.
So that has been like, there's no way that we could have moved with confidence to the place we are as fast as we did without having done
That's
that.
100% true.
I think it's something unique to real estate too, in terms of like, because I'm doing like with Vince and We'll Build Profits on the multifamily side, like mentorship is really important. And I think it's like standing on the shoulders of giants, like it helps to move you. And so like those, I think that is really important. I think, and it also helps to build community because I think real estate on its own can be a very isolating, lonely endeavor. And this is why like this space you have here is very nice. It's a good community.
At elevation, we hunting, we hungry, we salivating, turning nothing to something and celebrating. Markets changing, we calibrating. The first to get acclimated is the first to stack the payments, but you need to act with patience, but be careful waiting, cause this opportunity won't last forever before it is evaporated. So if you wanna flip some houses, hit me up to make a plan. Your flip deserves the upper hand.
Hey guys, welcome back. So we decided that we wanted to do part 2. We've got such a great conversation with the first part of this episode. You guys were pumped to get into the second part of this episode. So let's dive in, guys. Let's talk a little bit about numbers too, because I think the good thing about this show is that we tell people, obviously we're always telling people the truth, but we tell people the nitty gritty. So can you guys share just a little bit from a very 30,000 foot perspective of you're buying it, you're rehab, you're selling it, timeline, talk to us a little bit about numbers.
Yeah. So we were about 12 months,
Yep.
which was, probably 4 months more or 5 months more than we thought.
Right.
But I mean, which was sort of not anything to do with the timeline, just lack of experience doing that.
Yeah.
And the budget was bigger than we thought. Like that market was actually shifting pretty dramatically during the course of when we were moving, which was interesting. And that, call it volatility, creates opportunity. But so what we went in thinking the after renovation value would be versus what the market what the market was moving towards was different during the course of when we went in.
Yeah.
And so I think we, from a cash perspective, it ended up probably leveraging it less than would have been ideal just because we ended up thinking it would be less than it ended up being.
Yeah.
But again, in terms of numbers, it was very profitable. Like we're looking for 1.3 cash on cash and above.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
And so I think those are like really for this, for this segment.
Yeah, for outlaying that much money.
Yeah.
Good returns.
Yeah, and really closer to like 1.5 is probably realistic, and for that amount of capital.
Yeah.
Because and for that sort of timetable.
Yeah.
But I think between 1.3 is a minimum
reasonable number.
Mhm.
And you kind of jogged my memory on something. I've never had a student or a client ask this before, and I think it was really astute. You're right. If we all wanted it to be a 9-month project, that's obviously the goal. Between construction delays, permits, you get it on the market in Q4, and we really like dove into the data and saw the last 2 years that we know there's a slowdown in Q4. That's not rocket science, but there was a weird slowdown. So it was like pulling the property off the market, and then over the holidays that slows things down, repricing it, putting it back on the market. You guys bumped up against a year, and I remember you saying, we go under contract, to your point, Carrie, find the right buyer. Should we delay closing? Because I look back, I think it was 16 days shy of 1 year, and there is a big tax implication. And I know maybe talk a little bit about that wrestling of you're paying less in taxes because it could have gone 366 days versus just sell the house, get your money back, lock it in, make it real. Talk to the audience a little bit about that, because I thought that was pretty astute.
Well, yeah, I mean, like it's from a cap gains perspective, being 366 days.
Yeah.
And like consult a tax attorney. But I think that like it does create real tax implications.
Yeah.
At the same point, some of that ends up being a wash. Like I think a lot of what I've found is investors are really worried about tax, and those are all very important things. Especially ask me in April. But like I think that the timing is the timing. Like so, there's another premise is that what you're seeking you.
Mm-hmm.
That's just when the people who are buying the home are ready to buy the home.
Exactly.
Yeah, ultimately we didn't go beyond the year, and it was just that we felt like this was the right buyer, and this was when they wanted it, and we went with that.
And I remember talking to you, John Paul, a little bit about, you're right, if we give them an incentive or you don't want to show somebody there's a reason you're doing something sometimes, because then they're like, well, wait a minute, do we then have the leverage? And I think we also talked a little bit about how, okay, well, let's say something falls apart. one more month of carrying costs probably wipes out your tax advantage. And so there's also a little bit about the stress and the emotion of like, let's sell this house.
It was sort of a wash at that point.
Let's get on to the next.
Yeah.
It was like the analysis was it was pretty close. Not a full wash, but it was close.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I think we control a lot more than we do.
Yeah.
Like, I think, then that's what this particularly taught us, which is important for going forward, is like, there's only so much you actually get to control.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like surrendering and just, being with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was a good, I think, learning for us.
It was huge.
And like, I don't want to give the impression that we had, like, we were scared.
Yeah.
But like, I just want to be clear, like, we were scared out of our wits during periods of time.
Well, and that brings up a perfect question. I would love for you guys to share with the audience. I'm going to use your term. I'm going to use the people in our audience, not the avatars, because I think it's really actually a cool distinction. But I think there's people in our audience that are either business partners and or marriage partners. What advice would you give to those people listening before they jump into a big project? Because you're right, there's definitely times where it is scary. But what advice would you give to people that are maybe just like, I'm on the sidelines and I'm concerned about the market, I'm concerned about getting going? What advice would you give those folks listening?
Ooh, you're good.
I would say trust is huge. I think in some ways we have different roles within our businesses, and you have to trust your business partner, your marriage partner, that they are doing their role to like the best that they are. And it's going to mutually help all parties involved. I think that's huge. And that it will be okay. Yeah. I mean, not to say that there aren't going to be challenges, but that in the end, it will be okay. And you'll be okay with, you'll be better for the challenges, maybe. We learn a lot. John Paul always pushes us to have like Sunday evening, what do they call it?
On the calendar.
They're on our calendar. Like, kind of like, let's review, what did we get right this week? What did we need to do differently? And what can we learn from? So kind of reflection sessions to regroup.
That's cool.
Which could be done with your significant other, or could be done with your business partner too,
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that. Now, okay, so you guys obviously learned a ton. You are now starting, or you're in the throes of a third project.
Two more. Yeah.
Okay, so Sweet Park, right?
No, Park Hill.
Park Hill.
Yeah. So
what did you carry forward from what you guys learned on your first two that you're carrying forward to now these next two?
Oh, okay.
Well, our Park Hill house is an interesting story. Okay. When we purchased it, the intention was that we were going to renovate it as is, and then we were going to put it on the market, and it would be like a pretty fast project.
Not the pop top. So just
not the pop top. That was like well after when we started then looking at all of our comps. I mean, you certainly, you go in, you don't buy a property without looking at comps.
Yeah.
We were buying the property looking at comps. And then we started thinking, well, what if we made this a very different home? What would those comps look like? And could we get there? So it morphed into a very large project because it will be a pop top and an expansion out the back, which is not traditional for what you would say like a flipper, although we think of ourselves as more
developers.
Redevelopers even. So when we have to pivot big time.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And I think at one point, even like our financing was like, wait, what are we doing now?
So like,
yeah.
No, we're developers. Okay, so then do you know what development it means at its core?
No.
Removing veils. So like there's this veil on this house that hasn't been occupied for, 15
20
years.
Yeah.
And so you see like, remove it and something. And so there's also an aspect of Park Hill. Like I grew up in Park Hill.
Yeah.
And my parents called it an integrated neighborhood.
Okay.
And so there's something really unique about Park Hill in that regard. Like there's always this blending, whether it's, black and white and old and new.
Yeah.
And so it almost just felt right that like you're taking these elements of old, adding elements of new and integrating into something, new, but fitting within the context of the neighborhood. And like Spinelli's is on the right here. I went to grade school with Jerry's son.
Our favorite coffee shop's right there that we spent a lot of time at.
Coffee shop. One of my best friends is right here. Like, so that street is like one of the best streets in Park Hill.
Mhm.
And so that one was like,
We just saw the potential shift so dramatically. Like, well, what if we could, you know, really transform this home? I think too, like one of the interesting thing is, I think through conversations with people that are important to us, like my dad, we were showing him the video of this house, which barely has a roof, right? It hasn't been, it's, I mean, no. And he was like, well, it looks as if you're going to have to take that roof off. And I was like, yeah, oh yeah, the roof is gone. Like it's going to be a whole new, I mean, everything. And he's like, why wouldn't you pop the top then? And we
Right,
were
but-
like,
I mean, like,
whoa,
so Carrie,
yeah.
between Carrie's family,
yeah.
without ever having done it, Carrie's family had more hours of experience than anybody on the planet between her mom and dad and her. Like,
And my
we're talking- and
sister.
like we're talking going to open houses
As
just
kids.
to go,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
I was like, why?
Not a lot of people do that.
No,
Yeah.
but that's what they do. So they would literally, she was born to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So it's also listening to your mentors, I guess, because someone could offer a different perspective that you're not thinking about. You know, we hadn't been thinking about popping the top. And when my dad was like, well, you're taking the roof off.
Yeah.
Have you looked?
But that's the important thing of like, whether you're in the exercise we did but to start giving yourself that new perspective or like somebody else, like there's just bringing in another perspective, you see something new.
Yeah.
If you're paying attention.
Yeah, you have to be listening.
Yeah, you're right. You have to be.
If you're listening.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that term. No, those are okay. I love it. So that's the first one. Tell me about this. You said you had another one.
Yeah. We bought one yesterday.
Yeah. Tell me.
In
me about
Whittier.
it.
I know he hasn't seen it. We're in Whittier next, which is actually like pretty close to the Park Hill.
Yeah.
They're both right off of 23rd ish. And it will be a different one. It'll be a different home. And it's interesting. I walked into it and I'm always like kind of taking in things as I'm like walking through. And one of the things that caught my eye was the kitchen sink and the faucets that was there. It's like this old apron sink with the faucets that are on the back of it. I mean, they're beautiful. And so this morning I woke up thinking about that and I've already started my like design boards and like, oh, okay, I can't lose sight of that like element and that I even want to reuse it, the faucet and stuff.
Right.
And it's funny, someone was like, well, you could do a lot of the same things that you're doing in your Park Hill house. But again, our design principle is never do the same thing twice. You know, it will be really different.
It's not an easy principle.
No.
Yes, you're right.
Especially once you've already done the hunting to find like the tile that's at the right price and, but
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, cool. So you took a lot of what you learned from your first two.
mm,
You're bringing it
So
into
much.
your
Yeah.
next two,
Yeah.
which is super exciting.
And from the academy, I'm still looking and like referencing and going
Oh,
back.
yeah.
And so that's just been like, there's no way that we could have moved with confidence to the place we are as fast as we did without having done.
that's 100% true.
I think it's something unique to real estate too, in terms of like, because I'm doing like with Vince and We'll Build Profits on the multifamily side, like mentorship is really important. And I think it's like standing on the shoulders of giants, like it helps to move you. And so like I think that is really important. I think, and it also helps to build community because I think real estate on its own can be a very isolating, lonely sort of endeavor.
Yes.
And this is why like the space you have here is very nice.
Yeah.
It's a good community.
No, that's really well said. And it's funny because I'm working with a different business consultant. And to your point earlier, if your dad giving you that advice of something that was kind of maybe right in front of your face.
Yeah.
I had the exact same thing with a consultant. It's a lot of people in our world, you're right, the gurus, and I don't like that term, but the educators, I guess. A lot of times it's building a large community and it's thinking of it probably from a monetary perspective. But we kind of have this cool thing. It's like, no, let's get back to grassroots. And that's why I'm so excited to have you guys as guests is if we have our alumni, we've had now 165 people go through the Elevation Academy.
That's amazing.
But if we all
That's
pour
so
into one
cool.
another and we do more deals and we share design ideas and we talk about the crazy challenges that we've had, like we'll all grow faster together in a tight-knit community. And then if things go, as my kids say, viral, like, okay, fine, but we're not planning on that. But yeah, how can we all do well more together in a nice, tight community?
Well, let me ask you a
Each
question.
other out.
We were walking through his office and he's got this board of the city.
Yeah.
And then you
it's so
pointed out
cool.
like, and there was, it was, I don't know how many, thousands.
Yeah.
But when you look at that, what does that say about the significance of the work that you're doing, the significance of property redevelopment, and what does that show you? What does that mean for you?
Yeah, thanks. And to give you guys context, listening and watching, in our office at the Broadway Collective, we have this really huge graphic, and it's the metro area. And then we use our little elevation tile, our little logo, and we call it a tiling party. So we were just talking about this off camera. So every roughly 6 months or so, we put a sticker on all the properties that we've done, whether it's been property redevelopment for us, for our clients, our consulting clients, joint ventures, our traditional listings, working with homeowners, our hedge funds or whatever. Yeah, it's pretty fun. I think it also helps you look at, sometimes you're like, oh my gosh, I'm in the weeds and I'm not succeeding as much today as I need to. And I want to, and I got to hit you guys know me, I'm a nerd, like my traction Q4 goals or whatever. Like, it's like, to your point earlier, that sense of calm. Just step back and you can even look at that graphic and say, wow, we've had a pretty cool impact.
Very cool.
And again, we get bad raps as investors and flippers and redevelopers. But what people don't remember is we're usually taking the house that needs the most love and we're bringing it back to life. You guys as developers, I applaud the pop top. I know there's some people that say, well, you shouldn't do new development. That's a different discussion. But in general, we're still taking usually the worst thing.
Yeah.
To your point earlier, that's been destitute for 20 years.
20 years.
And we're bringing those things back to life.
Yeah.
We just had a meeting with the seller, this just super nice guy, Roger, who's been in his home for 45 years. He's moving on to an assisted living facility. He knew more about his home than anybody I've ever talked to. And he just wanted to know, what are you guys going to do? And it's, to your point, bringing that next family into the fold, and hopefully they love the house for the next 30 years. So yeah, it's a great question. Thank you for asking that. Is that impact of just, sometimes it's like, just as my wife says once in a while, chill the F out.
Yeah.
And just let, kind of those positive things bubble to the surface.
Yeah.
I think we need to probably take that time.
And do you see that process on the level of the project too?
Yes.
And so how do you remember that in the heat of it all?
Yeah, that's a really good question. It's funny. I was listening to somebody else's podcast, and they just said, oh, real estate is just a great business and it's a great way to run a system and make really good money. I'm actually kind of the opposite. I think it's hard as hell sometimes. And I think I could be doing something else. Like, I come from a finance background and my whole family worked on Wall Street. Like, I could be staring at screens right now and I could probably be making a lot more money. But I wouldn't have that impact at all. So for me, I still love doing the deals. I love doing the projects. I'm very fortunate because we've got good project management. And you guys are getting this stage as well, where you don't want to be at the house every day. You don't want to be like, damn it, I got to go to floor and decor again, or whatever, bring another thing of tile. Like, there's challenging days like that. But I'm the opposite. I'm like you guys. I love being in the projects, being in the middle of. I still want it to be a system, but I want to go there once a week or twice a week and go, oh, nice, we're moving this forward. We're fixing these things. We're meeting the neighbors. We're, shaking hands and kissing babies and just doing cool things with properties is something that you guys do. And I love that part still. I don't want to be like, oh, I only want to flip to make money. I want to do this because I want to have an impact and change the vibrancy of neighborhoods. And then I'd like to be financially compensated for it, for all the risk we're taking.
Oh, yeah.
It's a pretty fair thing, I think.
Yeah.
So, no, I think that's a good question. Talk to me a little bit about, and this has been awesome, and I really appreciate you guys coming in. What is something that, and I'm pausing because sometimes people have very long processes of what they want to do in 1 year, 2 year, 5 year, 10-year planning. And I think the market sometimes is really challenging. But what do you guys have in store? What would you like to do in the next year or two that would make you feel like, cool, you guys are on the path for creating this awesome company that you're creating in the real estate space in a couple of years,
Oh, I get.
Yeah, you
I have a feeling you have pretty well mapped out. So let's Carrie.
Well, I would say one thing that we both do is this thing called priming, and it's through Tony Robbins in the morning. And the last section of it is like, what are your 3 goals that you visualize them getting done? And so I think, like, obviously we have a little slightly different roles within the companies, but we have the similar vision of like what we would like it to be like in the next 5-10 years. But that action, like that practice of priming in the morning, is extremely helpful. So look up Tony Robbins priming. So some of the things that I am in the middle of working on real estate classes.
Okay.
So becoming to get my license. Thanks. It feels like they're very long.
Yes.
and it's partly because I would like to partner with other realtors to like help sell our homes that we've worked so much on. And then I think we love the idea of development and having a positive impact. Like John Paul loves Denver.
Yeah.
So he wants to see Denver thriving. And I think if we kind of constantly keep looking at our next steps, like, are we helping Denver to thrive? That's a helpful question for all of the projects we take on. Yeah.
Those are good visions. I like that.
Yeah.
So I think the generating wealth through real estate, and wealth isn't like necessarily monetary per se. It's a capacity,
right,
to be value adding, right, to generate value in the world. And then a step out is developing. Developing enlivening communities to help people love where they live, work, and contribute.
Nice.
And then there's a capacity of what we call intelligent caring for place, which is part of that home instead of house approach, right? And so about the place where we live. And then what that translates to is like, I want, us to have a platform that can integrate projects and capital across different time horizons and asset classes.
Okay.
And so, within that would be like $100 million of assets under management in the next, 3 to 5 years.
Okay. Nice.
And then kind of a platform that enables people to build off what we're doing. It's similar. You have a platform that enables people to generate value.
Yeah.
And so we've got a podcast that we're doing with Josh Rosenberg called Seat at the Table.
Nice.
And we just had Walter Eisenberg from Sage on it. It talks about hospitality.
Yeah.
And specifically hospitality in Denver.
Yeah, but we're expanding it out too. But part of that is like, how do we help develop it's a process. The process you have with your board and for the company is also what happens at a city level. Like we get into the mire and everyone starts buying into the narrative of, everything's going to hell in a handbasket. Like, how do we lift it back up to where Denver's trying to go again? And you do that through storytelling. It's the process of, it's what happens with flipping, right? Yeah. But it's a new order of potential.
Yeah. I love
and then that's to, learn from people that we want to work with also, right? And then I think those are kind of the main focuses.
Nice.
But yeah, I think, I've also, this ain't my first rodeo.
Yeah.
I saw your tickets. Like there's the aspect of like early on, it's like all these different, like this and then it's like that's just so full of shit. So you set a direction, you discover a direction even, let's call it that.
Yeah.
And then check back in, like, how do we adapt or what?
Right.
What do we get in? What do we need to start doing? What do we need to increase? Where are we getting it right? What do we need to decrease? What do we need to stop? Is she giving me daggers with her eyes?
No, I was actually just thinking about what you were reading last night to me, something about how
4 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I was reading like our direction 4 years ago and we were just like, and I was like, holy.
The funny thing is 4 years ago when John Paul was writing, what do you call that? Like our
corporate direction.
Our corporate direction. Okay. So we're developing it together, but really like John Paul's like, well, I think it should be this, And I thought he was crazy 4 years ago. I was like, what? Like, this is such a big, broad picture. I don't tend to do quite as much. And then he just read it to me last night. He's like, this is what we wrote 4 years ago. Look at like the things that we're doing are putting into place, like all of this broad direction, It was really cool to see.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
Well, what's the saying they say? We typically overestimate what we can get done in either
in a
day
year,
yes,
or even a year, and we way underestimate in 1, 3, and 5 year periods.
Yes.
So to hear you guys
look
back at that is pretty cool. Or even you think at a certain point of your development. It's funny you say that. I'm a nerd. I still really enjoy reading and read a ton. And I found my very first investment book. And ironically, I do want to say this to the camera. It was not Robert Kiyosaki. Like everybody says,
yes.
Oh, it's the Robert Kiyosaki book. For me, it wasn't.
What's Robert Kiyosaki?
So Robert, okay, I'm glad that you're in this camp. So, and I'm totally blanking on.
The Rich Dad Poor Dad?
Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I have read that. There's even actually kind of a cool thing that actually might be cool for your kids too, is there's a Rich Dad Poor Dad for teens. So it's actually kind of cool because it's very grassroots and it kind of tells them, and they're absorbing it, I'm sure, as you guys go. But that's
so absorbing a lot.
Rich Dad Poor Dad it's great. And it's kind of a classic, if you will. But the one that I really like is, have you ever read books by David Bach? He's an author. He wrote the first book. It was called The Automatic Millionaire. And it was
Oh.
about the kind of the difference of the flashy, showy neighbor who's driving the fancy car and has all the flash of wealth, but they're probably leveraged to the gills, versus the guy that kind of has the beat up Chevy, has the more downplayed, subdued look, but it is infinitely more wealthy, both monetary and from a holistic perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a really cool thing. And then it's how do you just set it and make it automatic? And so there's some very tactical things in there, which is cool. But I went to, and I was working in the corporate world at that time, doing my dream job, working for the Denver Broncos. And I'm like, oh yeah, my dreams will never change. This is it. Like, I went to graduate school. This is what I'm doing. And then life throws you curveballs and you change your dreams. And I remember doing a seminar that was hosted by a mortgage company. They gave away that book. And I found that book, and in the back of it says, if I can have 4 houses, I'm set. Work my corporate job, but then also have 4 rental properties. And then you fast forward, now for us 15 years later, like, you're right. It's kind of scary and all at once of like, what can you accomplish if you just put your head down and then just kind of keep reinventing yourself. So I love hearing you guys did that 4-year vision and rehash that. It was weird. I just found out the other day. So I think everybody out there, you guys need to do that exact same thing. Like, write your goals down. I'm a huge Tony Robbins fan too. Have that intentionality and work towards it, but then also be able to adapt, because we're in a weird market. We will always be in a weird market. Things will never just be great, I don't think. So as we kind of wind down with the episode, I would love for you guys to share with our audience, how can they get a hold of you guys? Do you guys lean towards social media, old school email? How can people get a hold of you guys? So
yeah, what do you think? We don't have like, I mean, we have Instagram. Instagram is a lot though. I mean, I think probably just email or, reach out. I think you could call me. Like eventually you could figure out how to do that. But I think that's probably the best way. Maybe someday we'll do, as part of what we're doing, we need to have that platform of storytelling.
Sure.
But for us right now, it's, like there's a whole movement around certifying organic beef and blah, blah, blah. And there was this rancher, I was at this conference speaking with this rancher. He's like, there's a certifying bodies, blah, blah, blah. He's like, you know what? Like, I sell my cattle or my beef to the person next door. We call it facial certification. And so that's the storytelling that we have as person to person right now. So just find ways to connect with us.
Yeah. But Living Place.
Livingplace.co. And thank you.
Yeah.
And we'll have that in the show notes. So no, you don't need to be put on spot. I think that's really important. Well, John, Paul, and Carrie, thank you guys so much.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Raising Flipping Bar. You guys have been awesome guests and friends and clients, and can't wait to see what you guys do. So thanks for doing this.
Thanks for all you do.
Yeah,
we wouldn't be here without it. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Elevation, flip that house, man, this money for the making. We gon' get it, hustle harder every day, fam. Sky's the limit, time to make this life amazing.